So around the summer of 2020, I was a relatively new climber, but I really wanted to step up my training game. And when I saw this video on YouTube, I was really inspired to learn the front lever. So in the following months, I just trained for the front lever. I also recorded every single session that I practiced. Overall, I was able to learn the move in 2.5 months. At first, I thought this was pretty normal for most people, but it turns out that that's pretty quick.
Some achieve it in 2 months, others battle for years without any results.
I want to reference this video called The Problem with the Front Lever by Frank's Movement. I'll be referencing it throughout this whole tutorial. So yeah, some people take 3.5 years to learn the move, and I actually know someone, my closest climbing buddy, who has been climbing for 3 or 4 years, but he still has yet to get his front lever.
Dozens of exercises, drills and progressions floating around the internet, dozens of myths, technical mistakes and theories appearing every day in the posts, videos and comments under them.
There's definitely tutorials that give you unnecessary prerequisites, exercises that you don't even need to do, and there are other exercises that are pretty low yield in strength building for the actual front lever. So I'll go over all of that. I'll give you some of the tutorials that I found really useful, and I'll also reference other tutorials that were not useful. Some tutorials have like an in-between, like there would be a 13-minute segment and there would be a hot good 1 minute. There's a lot of mixed opinions about prerequisites for this move. To me, the only real prerequisite is to have 15 solid pull-ups. In Frank's video, there was a direct correlation of weighted pull-up strength to front lever achievement. I'm only setting the prerequisite to about 10 to 15 pull-ups because the front lever in and of itself is another exercise that engages different muscle groups. So it would be counterproductive to only focus on getting more and more pull-ups. I agreed with this tutorial by Minimal ZYK with the prerequisite of 15. It felt like just the right minimal amount that is needed to start learning the front lever. To be transparent, around the time that I was starting the front lever, I was able to do about body weight plus 60-pound chin-ups. When I started the front lever progression, I had a lot of difficulty trying to figure out how to make my body horizontal, and Athlean X actually gave the most simple and effective explanation.
This is nothing more than a suspended version of a straight arm push down. And if you see me from here, a straight arm push down is what? It's a lat exercise.
And that's really the only thing that I think of when I execute it. I don't think it's really an ab exercise or it engages too much of your abs.
Here is the little test for those who want to find out if their abs are strong enough for the front lever. Basically, put your body on a bench or something like you would imitate the position, keeping your pelvis slightly over the bench. If you're able to raise your legs from the bottom but can't hold the front lever, abs are most likely not your issue.
He goes into saying why having average abs is not the reason why you can't do a front lever, which is why I have such a huge problem with tutorials that do make abs a prerequisite exercise.
All right, so you want to be able to do hanging L-sit for 20 seconds. Let me show you guys what that looks like.
A lot of tutorials put too much emphasis on ab exercises. It makes it feel like abs is a very dominant muscle when it comes to doing the front lever. Personally, I don't think that's the case. In this tutorial, Osvaldo actually shows why too much ab engagement is disastrous to the front lever. As you can see, having too much engagement in the abs rounds out your back and it ultimately sacrifices the form. Focusing too much on abs would be counterproductive to learning the front lever. I think the best way to illustrate that it's not an ab dominant exercise is by showing you the most common problem that I see people attempting the front lever have, which is the sagging butt. So they think that it's like mostly abs, so they have to lift physically with their legs to go up. So it ends up looking something like that. Right? So your butt is sagging. It's more, you have to push really hard, like crank really hard down with your arms. And imagine that you're just laying on your bed. When you're laying down on your bed, your legs are not pointing up like this. You just have to relax and drop your legs. Because you can't drop it, hyperextend and drop it like that. So your front lever won't look like that with your legs. If you try to drop it, the most it will drop is to the neutral position. So once you crank down hard enough to achieve the horizontal position, you'll be in the front lever. So don't go up with your legs like this. And don't flex with your abs like this way. Just relax your legs and push really hard down with your arms. So primarily everything is happening right here, and I'm pretty relaxed around this area. To get a better sense of what I mean by cranking down hard enough, I recommend using this exercise shown by Athlete X. It's very indicative of the front lever muscle groups, and you'll be able to sense which muscles you need to engage. Pulling into the front lever, about 90% of my thought and focus goes into engaging this group, and only about 10% goes into focusing on other muscles such as abs, which I don't even really focus on at all when I do the move. So I think one thing I should focus on is also talking about how to set up for the move. There's 2 steps. One is I do a scapular pull-up, and then after that I try to lift the rest of my lower body up. I would recommend building up some scapular pull-up strength, and this was actually an idea I got from Oswaldo's tutorial once again. However, the only useful exercise I got from this tutorial was the hanging scapula shrugs that he demonstrates here. He lists so many other exercises that I found to not be too productive because I wanted my workouts to be simple and not having to remember like a million exercises. So he does demonstrate like some pull-ups and rows, and I didn't think they were very helpful for learning the front lever, so I totally skipped them. Once again, I only did the hanging scapula shrugs. The front lever is usually taught in a progression of increasing difficulty, starting with a tuck, then you move your legs outwards more, then do a one leg, straddle, and then 2 straight legs. Hoseok is actually against learning the front lever through this progression, but I found it to be extremely useful. I used part of the tuck and then the one leg variation before getting the full front lever. So this was actually my very first attempt when I was learning the front lever. I didn't go for like the full-on tuck because that was too much ab engagement, but I noticed here my butt was sagging a little. I set up a camera on the side, which really helps, so when you're learning, definitely use a camera. Here I saw that I needed to pull down a lot more and crank down just to get my back straighter compared to the last clip. And I was trying to get my legs out as much as possible. It's important to remember to do the scapular retraction and then pull up. Here are some other attempts I made that day. I think I made about 5 attempts. You really don't need to do that much in one day to train for the front lever actually. I would say doing about 5 and then 10 maximum repetitions in one day, no matter which progression you're at on the front lever, is good enough. It will destroy your climbing ability because it will make you really sore, so not doing too much is actually a good thing. So this is actually an exercise from the Chris Heria front lever tutorial, which I don't really recommend because I didn't find it helpful. It's basically doing a leg to bar and then an upside down deadlift. And why I don't think it's helpful is because I didn't feel the same muscle engagement of the front lever with this exercise. And honestly, I spent so much time trying to get the form. I didn't even get the form down, so I thought it was kind of a time waster for the front lever progression. I spent the rest of the day trying to do the tuck with a 90-degree knee bend, and it was actually the next session that I made a breakthrough in the progress of my front lever. Basically, I was really tired of being stuck on the tuck and kind of just went straight gung-ho for the 2-leg straight front lever. Little did I know this was probably the biggest step in my progression because I was actually engaging all of the muscles that was needed for the front lever. Yes, my elbow was bent, but I was making huge progress. I just didn't know it yet. Trying to go straight into holding the front lever was actually really good because it gives you a very accurate depiction of what muscle groups really need to be applied, and doing 2 legs also simulates the load that needs to start building for you to get the actual move. Staying with the regular tuck at the beginning just doesn't give you as much load that is necessary to get further inside the progression. So if you keep doing the tucks, you'll just basically just stay there for quite a while. Hosak actually has a very similar school of thought of skipping the progressions and going straight with the 2-leg front lever, trying to load your body from the get-go. But he recommends this exercise that I found to be extremely difficult, even more difficult than the front lever alone, so I wouldn't recommend that. However, what he says here is pretty helpful.
If you want to achieve the full front lever, try to be in that position. Touch the specific muscles that are required to do the full front lever.
I then started to drop one leg and just do a 1-leg front lever, and it was so much easier than doing 2 legs. And this was when I actually started to work on building up the form, really cranking down with the pull down and then also relaxing my legs and letting them drop, just so I can eliminate the butt sag. And that really was the trick, being able to pull down really hard and just relaxing your legs by not really engaging your core, letting your legs drop like if you're laying down in bed. That really gave me that form. It didn't really take long for me to be able to hold the 1-legged front lever for about 10 seconds. It just really came down to being able to be strong enough and fight the fatigue of pulling down as hard as you can to prevent the butt drop. And I just started trying to put 2 legs out, but it was still quite a bit of load to take in. And that was basically all I did for the front lever. I didn't use any other exercise. Basically, I was just trying to go up into the position, hold it as long as I can. Every session, I would try to do about 5 to 7 reps, trying to hold as long as I can. Here in October, I think I was able to hold it 10 to 15 seconds. And eventually, sometimes I did find myself not being able to hold it too long, just because I've been climbing all day or practicing for other pull-ups that I was pretty fatigued. And I sometimes would also try to throw out the 2-legged version just to give some more load on the muscles and help grow it more for the actual full form. Sometimes my school schedule would be pretty bad and I wouldn't train for the front lever for like a week or 2 weeks. But this was actually the day that I was able to hold it the longest, which was 4 to 5 seconds, and it was the longest at the time, and I was able to progress after that. But here, I was not expecting it. I was just doing some repetitions as a warm-up. This is what I usually do as a warm-up, and then I go into the 1-leg front lever, and then I go straight for the 2-leg, and this happened. After finally getting the front lever for 4 to 5 seconds, I kind of took a break and shifted my attention towards working on other things just because I didn't really find the front lever being really applicable to what I was climbing at the time. But to get stronger, I would recommend this exercise that I found. Basically just finding ways to get some full range of motion in holding the front lever. I see Alex Migo do this, and also the girl that was at the very beginning of this video. Sophia uses a 3-stage front lever exercise that I think would also really help with strength building for the exercise. It can also be helpful to just do variations of the move, but just know that you will not get the same load as if you just do 2 straight legs coming out. My holds weren't getting too great after this because I really didn't practice it that much anymore, and your ability to hold it really drops if you just suddenly stop your practice of it. So if you want to get more and more seconds out of your front lever, I would recommend just keep going at it and you'll get there. And that is actually it for this video, y'all. If you really liked it, make sure to subscribe to my channel. I make videos bi-weekly, and I'm actually thinking of making a video of my 1-arm pull-up progression as well. So just stay tuned and subscribe.